Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up and Live. I'm your host, Natalie, and today we welcome a very special guest, Dr. Joni Labbe. Dr. Labbe is a functional health practitioner, doctor of chiropractor, specializing in science-based nutrition with a focus on hypothyroid, Hashimoto's, and hormones. She is a board-certified clinical nutritionist and founder of ThyroSisters and creator of the all-inclusive Thyroid Mvp Program. She is a professional speaker, radio personality, fitness expert, and host of Healthier Way with Dr. Labbe. Dr. Labbe is an author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, Thyroid and Menopause Madness. Welcome to the show, Dr. Labbe.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Natalie.
Oh, it's such an honor to have you. And so I would love for us to dive in and have you share a little bit more about you, and then also kind of dive into the topic today, which is why you consider the hypothyroid to be the invisible disease. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's, well, a little bit about me is that I was on Synthroid for a number of years, 20 years, and ran labs on myself and found out I had this invisible disease, I call it, because it's not really being checked in the regular medical model. And if it is, just one is being handed thyroid medication, which doesn't even touch Hashimoto's, which is the name of the autoimmune that normally attacks the thyroid, the digestive tract, adrenal glands, things like that. But I leaned into all of this because I had to find answers, because I was not wanting to wake up and live. You know, I have a big, beautiful life, but busy, full practice, and married and involved with my community. And I just didn't have the gas in the tank to, put in an 8-hour day. I was hosting a radio show and prepping for that every week. And it just was the brain fog, just a sense of listlessness. And, intuitively, I'm too young for this. This isn't me. Mm-hmm. And as I ran labs on myself, found out that I had this Hashimoto's. That's what caused me to really lean into this, because it's one of the mysteries or secrets of why it's like, what happened to me? Mm-hmm. I want to wake up and live. I want to live big, and I don't know. And I'm being told everything's normal. I'm fine. I'm walking out of the doctor's office saying my thyroid's normal. So that's what started this journey for me, which was in 2007. And from there, I was working with a lot of functional health pioneers, Dr. Karazian, who you may know. He's a prolific writer, one of my mentors, and incorporating a lot of these functional health protocols, especially for women. This Hashimoto's has a tendency to go after women more than men. In fact, 1 out of 9. And the NIH said recently that there are 53 million people in the United States that have this Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune against the thyroid, and they don't even know it. They're testing for thyroid, and those reference ranges have been expanded. So it's like, oh, your thyroid's fine. But they're not testing a simple antibody, or if they are, they're giving thyroid medication as the answer. So that's been the issue. And so here's a lot of the things that that one may say, God, am I changing? Is my personality changing? Why do I feel so angry when I wasn't angry before? Somebody used to cut me off in traffic and it never bothered me. Go ahead of me. And so a few of the things that I think your listeners would really, it doesn't seem like it's associated with your thyroid, but one of them, I have an acronym. I have a chapter in my book called "You're Not Lazy, Crazy, or Finished," and I like the word "finished" because we're not finished, even though sometimes, especially in these days, we feel, that things are hopeless, maybe, or uncertain. And I like that word "finished." It means we've completed a project. And so I use that acronym "finished." And F stands for foggy brain. There's this concept of, why am I so foggy brain? Where did I park the car? Little things, what's that person's name? Why did I walk into the store? I had a 28-year-old client that she pulled the stroller out of the SUV and was down 2 football fields before she realized the baby was still back in the car. So this is not a thing of the elderly. And so foggy brain, insomnia, we call it tired but wired. That I want to go to sleep, but I can't get to sleep, or I can't stay asleep. So insomnia is a big part of this. And how do we live big during the day if we haven't gotten a good night's sleep? And no libido stands for the N in the word "finished." No libido, it's like, love my hubby and a partner, and it's just, and not only just on a sexual level, but just the ability to enjoy a beautiful painting or a day, or the dynamics of the kids growing up. It's that I include into just not interested in things that I used to be interested in before. And then inability to lose weight, even on a low-calorie diet. That's huge. The mystery is not that you need to go live in the gym or live, on lettuce. It's that we need to get inflammation down. And we do that by a little bit changing the diet, science-based nutrition that reduces that, and then running the right tests so we can see if you have inflammation. Stomach issues are huge, Natalie. They, why all of a sudden do I have this irritable bowel, Crohn's syndrome, or constipation? And I didn't have that in the past, but for the last few years, I've maladapted to this. And it's like, that's not normal. It's common, but not normal. And hair falling out, just not only the eyebrows, but hair, just on women on top of their head. And we find out the root cause of what's causing that. It's usually tied to hypothyroid, but then also we look at low iron storages, low progesterone, things that would have this sense of being exhausted all the time, even though you don't, there's no sense of reason. It's just a sense, I need to take a nap every day. I had another client, she was VIP for, she was human resources director and of a huge conglomerate, and she'd set her iPhone and go sleep in the car and then go back at the end of the hour when the phone alarm would go off. And people, her colleagues would see her in the parking lot going back, but she had to have a nap. And within, about 4 months, she was doing a boot camp with her adult daughter. So, there are reasons. This is not in your head, So, and dry, the word D for finished. Dry is dry everything, dry hair, dry skin, dry. So you women understand that. And it's just, that's all part, oddly enough, of this whole invisible disease, because they're testing for it, but they're just giving thyroid medication if they do test for it. And that only works 1 out of 22 different cases. So.
Wow, that's so interesting, all of that. And now I'm starting to wonder, I'm like, is that what's going on with me? Because I've had a lot of those things happening to me. And so how would what kind of testing is involved? Like how do we, if they're not doing that kind of testing or the testing, what kind of testing is involved?
Well, it's normally a blood test, but in the regular medical model, one is not, they're not testing as much. And if they do, they're comparing your lab markers with expanded reference ranges. So what you need to start with is markers on a blood test that would, first of all, recognize if you have Hashimoto's. That's a whole different conversation than just plain vanilla low thyroid. And you think this would be some big expensive ordeal, but in reality, it's called a TPO antibody and a TGB antibody. And those two antibodies being run on a blood test, we want to see iron storages. That contributes to why hair falls out and fatigue. We want to see how sex hormones, progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, how do they dance with cortisol levels, which it's exciting now because from the privacy of your own home, I can send you kits where saliva tests, fecal tests, and we send those into the lab and they're conclusive for, or I can send you to LabCorp. I have a national contract in the United States. So no matter where you live, we can send you out to LabCorp and for a comprehensive lab panel that would tell us, are you inflamed? And if so, where? Digestive tract, cardiovascular issues, do you have a low-grade chronic infection? And if so, is it viral, bacterial, parasitic? Do you have fatty liver? Maybe you've heard the term. It contributes to leaky gut, another thing that needs to be determined on this blood work. And so from there, we get those results and we create there's no cookie cutters because there's 22 different reasons why you have low thyroid versus somebody else. And so we want to look at, on this inflammation, it's so huge because that's what's contributing to the brain fog, the loss of hair, inability to sleep. The new studies are telling us that is huge and helping. We get the inflammation down, that resolves the weight loss. Time and time and again, clients say, oh my gosh, I've been on this, that, or the other diet. And you can be on the best diet, the best supplements, the best medication. But if inflammation's going on and we don't have that under control, which is where we start with ease and grace, we move systematically and usually have this resolved within 4 to 6 months. And a lot of things resolved within 3 to 4 weeks in digestive issues and constipation. So it's exciting to see you come back to you, and it's not that anyone's doing anything wrong. It's just that often one doesn't have the opportunity to get all the labs that one needs and have functional medicine protocols applied to them rather than just prescription drugs.
It's fascinating, all of that. And so you kind of talked about already, like what is, why this is impacting our ability to wake up and live. It's like, right, you're having this inflammation, which is then leading to all these other problems that could, right? And so then it's causing us to have an inability to be able to sleep well, which then we're waking up feeling groggy. And so, wow, it's really fascinating. So I would love for you to share, you've talked about some of them, but what are some other tips that we can start implementing today? Or, like if anybody's feeling these kind of symptoms and they're not going to have the answer from a blood test right away, what are some things that we can start implementing today to start kind of reversing some of these symptoms that we might be feeling?
Oh, the first thing that we want to do is to stop beating ourselves up. And they've got new scans and ways of checking the brain. And it's so interesting. Now they know that if we have a negative thought about ourselves, especially, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, that actually carries an inflammatory marker, a cytokine, and takes up physical residence in your brain. So the first thing is stop beating yourself up and start valuing who you are. You have gifts and talents that this world needs. And even if you don't feel well, don't trust your emotions, because it could be something, that's just not showing up on the regular medical model lab panel because of the expanded reference ranges. So the first thing is to stop the negativity, biblically and scientifically. As a man thinketh, so is he. The second thing is test and don't guess. Stop speculating. You and I are talking about functional medicine. Mm-hmm. And so what we want to get to the root cause of the problem. Intuitively this isn't you, but it's like I'm being told everything's fine, so now I feel a little crazy, and you're not. There is a reason. Usually it's inflammation. So we want to test. We have blood tests, fecal tests, saliva tests. Now we have tests where we can, even with a predictability factor of 10 years, we can tell if you're making antibodies against your neurotransmitters like serotonin, the feel-good, happy hormone, dopamine, which gives you energy, acetylcholine, which helps you remember. And these are simple blood tests or home kit tests that we can send to you. You send on the specimens to the lab and get profound results to get to the root cause of why, what happened to my mojo. So the third thing is to eat well. And by that I mean, I'm going to get a little specific. If you have low thyroid or Hashimoto's or any type of autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, it's imperative that you go off gluten. Why? Which is wheat, rye, oats, barley, white flour. There's a concept called molecular mimicry. And it means, well, why should I make T3 for Natalie, or progesterone, or testosterone, or thyroid? Why? Because your system is looking at those receptor sites and saying you have plenty of it. The gluten mimics your hormones. So that's often why I tried this and I tried that and it didn't work. Well, if one is consuming these molecular mimicry foods, that A is causing inflammation, and B, it's like, oh, I'm still feeling off even though I'm eating right. So I encourage you, to get off the gluten, and we have just elegant ways of detailing that out for you. And if you or your audience has ever tried to get off gluten and found it daunting, don't beat yourself up about it. It takes the same biochemical pathway as an opiate. And so you're really withdrawing off of an opiate. And so with kindness to yourself and tenderness, we just ease and grace go through that. But, eat farm to table as much as you can, meaning no pesticides, no GMO. If you are suffering with a thyroid issue, T3 is what gives you energy. And oftentimes we find on the blood work that that's low. And the biggest way to get T4 when one's on thyroid medication to convert to T3, to give you energy, to help you sleep, to be more optimistic, to be more cognitive, is through selenium and zinc. Those two things you really need. And it's important Brazil nuts are high in selenium. And glutathione, the largest antioxidant in your system that's normally made, oftentimes not with Hashimoto's, they're found in walnuts. So under the category of food, eat plenty of walnuts and get your dose of glutathione. And on that note, one thing to stay off of until you know if for sure you have Hashimoto's or not is to stay off iodine. They want to put you on iodine oftentimes when it's discovered you have low thyroid. Well, try sea kelp and this iodine. And that's great if you have just low hypothyroid. But with Hashimoto's, it causes the opposite effect. And there's this sense of nervousness and causes the thyroid fatigue. So we like to up the selenium and the zinc first and then titrate into the iodine. And then the next step is a positive mindset. Natalie, a positive mindset, through practice mindfulness or your faith and exercise. And they did this amazing study on, they took over 1,000 women. I don't know why it was just women, but they ran labs on them, found inflammatory markers, and then they gave each participant $100. And no judgment. They just said, you can either donate this to your favorite charity or you can keep the $100, no big deal. So the women made their decisions, and this was done time and time again over the course of a couple of years. And they found that the women that kept the $100, their markers all stayed the same. They didn't get worse and they didn't get better. But there was something about giving. When they ran the markers on the people that chose to give, the inflammation markers came down, the white blood count went up, so to the point of waking up and living, it's really important to know that giving, you're going to receive a whole lot from giving. And so even science is backing that up now. And so, stop beating yourself up, test, don't guess, eat gluten-free, have a positive mindset, and allow yourself to find out this new season in your life that you're valuable and you're worth a lot to not only your family, friends, but people that you don't even know. This world needs you, and you have to be healthy to have that. And so that's the best things you can do to start getting yourself back to you.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Labbe, thank you so much. That was incredible. That was beautifully put. And yes, anyone and everyone listening in the audience, I hope you're taking notes. Incredible. And I'm definitely going back and watching this because that was a lot of amazing information. And so thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yes.
My happy space.
And I can't agree more. I mean, what you're saying, I'm like, oh, you're speaking to my heart. So, I know you have this program. Do you want to share a little bit more about the Thyroid Mvp program that you have?
Sure. The ThyroSisters MVP program means measurable, verifiable progress. And it's an all-inclusive program that I created because a lot of women were facing a lot of drama when they would try and get all the labs that we needed run through insurance. And so it's an all-inclusive program. It includes 2 lab works, and I have a national contract with LabCorp all over the country. Um, uh, so if you're in Dallas or in a little town in Montana, we're able to send you to a LabCorp. They're the largest lab, and they'll draw the labs, and then my office here in San Diego will receive those labs, and I'll create a program based off of the results of those labs. And I like to journey with you. So every 4 to 6 weeks, we're talking either locally if you're here, or we can teleconference through Zoom, and we send you a link. And as you're changing, I'm changing the protocols. And so that we're making progress, not perfection, but every 4 to 6 weeks, we see progress. Otherwise, we pivot and we find out why not, and we make changes from there. And that consistency of getting together, I literally send you my calendar. You book yourself in around your convenience and my availability, and we journey through this, and we develop outcome measures. Is the weight down? Is the hair growing back? Are you sleeping better? Is the energy up? And then we rerun lab work, and we compare the two. Where did we hit the bullseye? Where do we still need to work? And so that I created that all-inclusive program, so one doesn't have to fight with insurance. It includes the labs, the consultations. We have a fabulous non-judgmental Facebook group, and so our VIP crowd, and it's like-minded people that are just we're all comparing notes, and I'm just the coach. You do the heavy lifting, and I'm just a little bit ahead. So we all learn from each other, and it's just a great group of women from all over the country. And I do something called Tuesday Thyroid Taps, which is in there. And so every Tuesday, we deep dive on a subject like constipation, and we have a lot of fun with it, and but a lot of good content. And so and then it also includes my book. I wrote an Amazon bestseller called Thyroid and Menopause Madness, and so it includes a copy of that book in the program. And you can get more information about that on ThyroSisters.com, and we have and check out client success stories. I purposely have their videos, and everybody's names there, and they're not glammed up personally, because we're just people that are trying to go forward. And so there's a lot of just exciting new changes in people. It's not going to take 2 years to get the weight off. We get the inflammation down, and the weight comes off as a byproduct of getting the inflammation down. And so there's a lot of exciting stories there that are just people going forward and getting themselves back. You would think, it's not asking too much to be a normal weight and sleep well, and have a normal head of hair. So that's a little bit about that program. We have several other programs depending on what the needs are. I have what I call a clarity call. It's complimentary, and if your viewers want to just book in for a clarity call, they can go to the website, and it'll take them through the process of doing that. And we can just roll our sleeves up and see, what we have meaningful conversations on what needs to be done, and no knee-jerk reactions, and to get to the root cause of the problem, and really so you can see your strength, and that makes you feel more safe, literally, and confident. And so I encourage your viewers to just hop on ThyroSisters.com and let's have a meaningful conversation, and we'll roll up our sleeves and see what's unique for you.
Yeah. I love it so much. Thank you.
Oh,
And then I know that you have a very generous gift that you'd like to offer. Would you like to share with the audience?
Oh, yes, that is a book I wrote called 25 Truths about Thyroid and Hashimoto's. And it's not just menopause, it's your thyroid. And the word menopause, it's, women, even if you're perimenopausal, premenopausal, and it's 25 myths. I touched on a few of them, like don't take iodine just because you have low thyroid, or maybe you have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and maybe you're younger and you're trying to get pregnant, and that can be the issue. So hormonal imbalances, and oftentimes Hashimoto's and low thyroid comes, later in life, but not menopausal. So 35, 40 years of age. And it goes into concepts, excuse me, of why, and some great tips on what to do about it.
I love it so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And then do you have any last things you'd like to share with the audience before we go?
Well, be proud of yourself, because I'm proud of you, and don't feel like you're going to succumb to this new norm. We just need to get to the root cause of the problem, and your sense of well-being and resilience will come back. Mm-hmm. And don't think that, well, I had my thyroid tested and everything's normal. That's the biggest myth. We need to test at least 7 different markers, and we do that on our blood test. And so all is not lost, and just be encouraged that we'll get to the root cause of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me, Natalie.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's been such a delight. And so, yeah, thank you again. And I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on another episode of Wake Up and Live.